Many people start salsa because they're looking for another way to get fit. And maybe they don't particularly love the gym. That was certainly me. It was one of the core reasons that I was really keen to get into salsa in the first place. So one of the main questions I get asked is salsa a legitimate replacement for gym-based exercise? So we're going to delve a little bit deeper into that. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know whether learning to dance salsa is going to get you the fitness results that you actually want. So the very first thing to make clear is that when you start salsa as a beginner, things are going to feel very different from when you actually get going. With studio classes, such as aerobics and Zumba, which is probably the closest relation to salsa in the gym world. Obviously, with those types of classes, the priority is to get that calorie burn, to get your heart rate up, and to get those fitness benefits. Now, with salsa, that's not the case. The aim is to get you on the dance floor, dancing as quickly as possible for sure, but it's the dance that's the end goal, not the fitness. The fitness is usually just a happy byproduct. And so in those early stages of beginner classes, you're going to find that things are very low key, low energy. And there's probably going to be quite a bit of stop-starting because what you're doing is learning the foundations of the dance. You're learning steps and moves and not prioritizing that burning of calories. Now, once you're 3 to 4 weeks in, you'll probably find that starts to change because you'll be stringing more steps together. You'll be able to participate more. You'll be able to keep a dance going to a certain extent. So you'll find that the energy levels naturally start to increase. And with that, you'll find that an organic improvement of your stamina and your muscular endurance will start to occur. You'll build up more tolerance for the repetitive movements that we have in salsa. And this is another thing to take into consideration, because with typical aerobics and fitness classes, we're systematically moving through the entire body to make sure the whole body gets a workout. With salsa, a lot of the movements are quite repetitive because we're learning a dance. So things like the basic step you will do over and over and over and over and over again. And because of that, you may well find in the early stages that the calves take quite a beating. It's not uncommon to come out of a salsa class with really tight, sometimes painful calves where the body is simply not used to doing that. But what most people find is the body adapts quite naturally, and within a few weeks, a couple of months, you won't even notice. Now, this obviously changes as you start to gain more experience and you start to know more of the steps and you gain more confidence in being on the dance floor. But you'll also find the speed and complexity of the stuff you're doing will increase as well. So there's still going to be a little bit of stop-start, particularly in the classes where you're having to repeat certain things to get them into the muscle memory. And here is where an interesting thing happens, because at some point the progress will start to plateau. You'll find that whereas you had a steady improvement in both fitness and in terms of your salsa dance progression, that will happen quite naturally in the first few weeks and months, but you'll probably find it starts to level off and slow down. Now, one of the reasons for this is because technique in salsa is governed by what your body is physically capable of. So in other words, things like your turns, your spins are naturally limited by the ability of your body to balance your core strength, your foot and ankle strength, particularly if you dance in heels. All those things will start to show up as limitations or issues with the smoothness and the speed that you can dance with and the complexity of the steps that you can actually manage. So that then begs the question, what can we do to break through that barrier, and what do more experienced dancers need to do to be able to develop that core strength and balance that they need to be able to dance at a much higher level? If I was to name one thing, it would probably be core strength. And by that, I don't just mean the abdominals and going in the gym and doing hundreds of sit-ups. The thing is that the core connects the upper and lower body. It also helps to stabilize the shoulder blades, which are crucial when it comes to not just moving your arms, but also when it comes to the connection between leader and follower as well. So learning to work on the core in a way that is congruent with your dance goals, because not all core training is transferable. Learning to work your body in a way that develops that is really going to help your balance. It's going to help every aspect of your salsa dancing. And simply because each time you transfer your weight from one foot to the other, it requires core engagement. Now, the second thing is mobility. And, we can call that by other names, flexibility, suppleness. But what we're really after here, again, is something more specific than just lying on your back and dragging a leg up in the air and stretching the hamstrings. This is more about the range that your body has throughout dynamic movement. So, does my arm actually travel all the way round, or are there certain points where it feels stuck and doesn't want to move there? Again, the flexibility through the shoulders is key when it comes to leading and following, and also when it comes to developing our body movement, which is a key part of salsa styling. It's an integral part of the dance, because salsa is a whole body dance. It's not just stepping with the feet. So being able to actually control the body isolations in order to develop the authentic style of the dance is really, really important. Now, the third thing is dynamic strength. Most people think of strength training as sitting there lifting weights, all this kind of stuff, a very static activity apart from the muscles that are actually doing the work. Now, with salsa, we're traveling, we're moving around our partner, we're constantly shifting our weight from one foot to the other, and most salsa songs are really, really fast. So that means that we have to learn to stabilize our body at speed, and this requires more strength than it does when you're standing still. So learning to hold our posture, stabilize the whole body, keep our balance while we're doing all these dynamic movements, again, is a part of salsa that you can't really necessarily do through traditional style gym training. Now, when you do get to that level where you can dance flat out for 3 or 4 hours at a time, that's when you can really enjoy the benefits of salsa dancing.